Cheers, guys. Epics 911, welcome to VR Roundup, episode 13. Guys, let's dive right into VR current events this week. Starting with games that are unintentionally bad. So bad, they will either prompt a chuckle, if you got them for free or maybe at an extreme discount, or they will induce absolute unbridled rage if you happen to have missed the memo and purchased them at full price. Others, a rare few, are intentionally bad, almost as a goof or an intentional goof to outsiders. Desert Bus started out life this way. It was a game developed by Penn and Teller as a goof to Janet Reno, who at the time believed video games should prepare people for real-world trades. So they developed Desert Bus as a mini-game, part of their Smoke and Mirrors Sega CD compilation. It was an 8-hour bus simulator which had you drive a bus in real-world time between Tucson and Las Vegas. Now, if it so far doesn't sound that bad, to make matters a bit less straightforward, you couldn't, for example, do real-world tasks, simply point the bus in the right direction, jam the pedal key to maximum, and, let time tick down. Oh no. You see, the bus had a few defects. For starters, it could only attain a maximum speed of 45 miles an hour, and, here's the kicker, it would pull slightly to the right, requiring your full focus and attention, just enough that multitasking other things outside the game, essentially nigh on impossible. This was a game that wanted to drive you insane over the course of its 8 hours. Now, in the years since the game's launch, it's been used for a variety of things. Some of those comedic, others actually benefiting people. Charities like the Desert Bus for Hope, which hosts an annual charity event using the game. Well, 21 years later, guys, and now the game is available in VR. It's a free offering. It's from Dinosaur Games and published via the devs, Gearbox Software, the folks behind the Borderlands series. But let me just preface this, guys, just kind of in conclusion. Before you decide, wow, might be a great idea for a stream, and yes, I've thought of exactly that same thought. Get a few VR YouTubers, see if we can do an 8-hour marathon of this game. Keep in mind, the game was designed to be as banal, as boring, and as unobjectionable as possible, with a nice hefty side of frustration thrown in the form of the poor steering we talked about. It is a long 8 hours, or so I'm told. Next up, and this story requires a bit of a qualifier, because the comparison doesn't take into account digital sales, it's purely physical retail sales in the UK. What the hell are you talking about, Epics? I'm talking about GfK, and we'll talk about these guys again in another story right after, but it is a UK software chart listing. They do hardware and video games, etc. Their week ending November 18th had PlayStation VR version of Skyrim at 19th position, compared to the Switch version landing in 26th place. This week, or the following week, the PlayStation VR version moved down to the 24th position, so a bit of a fall, but the Switch version falling even greater, not charting at all. But let's keep in mind, it is a nice story on the surface, but we have to remember that whereas the Skyrim VR version actually brings something new to the table, the Switch version is the same old classic with arguably worse graphics, and it really brings nothing new. In fact, it skimps on features. So take that into account before we, get on our soapboxes and tout that worldwide. And this, today, media research firm Canalys released a report. Yes, the same guys I mentioned, I'd talk about them again. This chart showing, and they accompanied this with a statement, that virtual reality headset shipments topped 1 million units for the first time ever within the third quarter of 2017. Sony's PlayStation VR headset selling the most with a massive 490,000 units shipped, twice the amount of the well-marketed Rift headset which had 210,000 units over that same third quarter, and the HTC Vive coming in third with 160,000 units shipped. Ultimately, the PlayStation VR took nearly half the market, selling 49% of all VR headsets. It matched its launch day sales as well as being on par with its total sales over the past 18 weeks. Now, Black Friday, the story potentially gets a little better. We don't have firm numbers for this yet, but according to the same organization, they state that the Black Friday week in the UK for PlayStation VR, absolutely huge, and again on par with launch week. So where is this all going to kind of end when we have numbers for this in January of 2018? Probably pretty good. We're safely, I bet, at that point in time, talking about almost 1 million units, if not 750,000 to 1 million units for the Rift and Vive each, and possibly 1.5 million plus PlayStation VR headsets. And that's just to start 2018. So looks like, albeit slowly, we are finally starting to kind of chart ourselves out of that trough of disillusionment. And next up, if you are into electronic music, social VR platform The Wave VR hosting a concert with an electronic dance music DJ, Kill the Noise, this Thursday, November 30th at 7 p.m. Pacific time. The concert is going to feature a mix of interactive, psychedelic 3D visuals, as well as a live set by Kill the Noise. Now, I've personally gone to dozens of concerts, handful of raves, and I'm going to make sure I don't miss this. Haven't been able to travel out to VR events, but this is something I really want to compare to actual live concerts. So expect me to do a little bit about this, a follow-up on the VR Roundup for the Gaming Friday edition. Next up, Litro yesterday revealing an improved version of their light field camera with improved quality and much faster captures. This according to them. They're dubbing it the 2.0, and it comes a month after they announced their volume tracer software capable of generating light fields from pre-rendered CG content, enabling ultra-high fidelity CG content, as well as imagery that retains immersive 6 degrees of freedom viewing. As for the camera, it's designed for high-end 360-degree shots with ever-increasing technical prowess. More on this as the details come to light. Oculus will be launching their 2.0 core update into public beta soon, according to their official blog. It apparently offers an improved layout as well as a Steam-like wish list. It's also going to feature new virtual desktop functionality, which will allow users to run traditional PC apps inside the Rift, even while inside virtual reality apps. But here's the catch. It will require Windows 10 to do so. So to be clear, VR apps, etc., all of that is going to continue to run just fine via Windows 7 or 8, but the extended new VR desktop functionality, running Dash, for example, as an overlay on top of VR apps, that will require Windows 10. According to the company, they've done this for performance reasons. Yep, definitely raises an eyebrow. So I'm going to dig into that a little bit more and let you guys know in a future episode. And now, 2 gaming updates. First up, Arizona Sunshine for the PlayStation VR. It's going to get 2 free maps today. One based on the old mine, which is the one that had the limited lighting and definitely brought a little terror to the game. Second, a map they're calling Undead Valley. It's a Vegas-inspired underground casino map infested with, of course, zombies. And the next game with some updates, Echo Arena for the Rift, one of the best multiplayer experiences on the Rift, finally getting a spectator mode. According to the devs, who confirmed this week it would be in the upcoming Chronos update. You'll be able to watch from a point-of-view first-person camera or follow players in a third person and even keep the camera fixed to the disc that teams scramble to throw around the arena. And Lastly, the British Museum, the MOCA in LA, two museums we've talked about in the past as having part or all of their collections available online in VR. Well, add a Dutch family, the Cremier family collection, to VR art viewable online. Together, the father and son duo have amassed a 74-piece collection of 17th century Dutch and Flemish masterpieces, all of which are going to be viewable online. Joel, the son of the duo, he works in the tech sector, and he knew that great museums in the world tend to typically attract single to low double digits, millions of visitors each year. And he feels ultimately that's limiting given the population of the world, those who might want to view art, but ultimately due to whatever challenges of geography, finances, etc., can't make it to those museums to view the art. So the challenge for him has been seeing if they can offer a good alternative to live viewing via virtual reality, offering features that might be impossible in real life. And I really like this last example here that they give. For example, imagine having Da Vinci's Mona Lisa side by side with Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring, talking about Golden Age artists. There's another one. Just an example of the type of flexibility and fantasy virtual reality could offer art connoisseurs. And guys, personally, I think it's one of those untapped areas. And those of you who know I'm a big history geek, think about it this way, and I love this study because it really drives it home. So when you think about virtual reality and you think about some of these places in the world, whether it's the Alamo in the US, right? Hoover Dam, Pompeii, Ephesus, virtual reality truly probably the second best as opposed to being there. It would be your second best option. Some would argue, and that's where this study comes in, even better than being there in person. And I love the stats on this. Since Pompeii has been unearthed, and that was in the 18th century when it started to get dug up, essentially, they estimate there's been more foot traffic from tourists and archaeologists than when it was an actual city in the Roman Empire. Think about that. How damaging that foot traffic, more foot traffic than back when it was actually a city before the eruption. So all types of potential for VR, as well as just being able to see places. I mean, think about it. Look at Syria as an example. Probably not the safest place in the world to go right now on vacation. And a lot of historical ruins destroyed. Imagine Palmyra as an example. Had they been able to get in there with 360-degree technology, document that, even though it's destroyed, the ruins, essentially, we'd still have it in just one form, a permanent form to walk around in. So there you have it, guys. That is it. Don't mean to leave it on a somber note. That's more hopeful. That's the potential for what is left on this planet. Document it, bring it into VR. Let us enjoy it. Guys, that is it for this Tuesday edition of VR Roundup. Have yourselves a kick-arse week, and we will catch you for the gaming edition this Friday. Cheers, guys.